We are ready. Welcome, everybody. October 4th, 2024. We do this every month to see where the money went in different areas of technology from Silicon Valley investment firms, VC, right? VCs, angels, whatever Don and Bob can dig up. Right. So thank you, Don, for being here. We're excited to see where the money went in September.
Well, September was an interesting month. We expected it to be a little bit busier than it was, but all in all, we're seeing steady funding. Now, don't interpret that to mean that it's become a friendlier funding environment out there. It is not. Um, it's sort of two sides of the river. If you are well connected, if you've done a startup before, you're probably in good shape to get funding. On the other hand, if you are a first-time entrepreneur, that's a problem. You need the connections, you need the people who will smooth the way for you. So across the board, for entrepreneurs and for VCs, it is a tough funding environment. Entrepreneurs are still having a hard time raising the first time. And interestingly enough, the VCs, particularly all the new VCs uh, who got started in 2021 when zero interest rates made money very easy to come by, they are having problems raising funds, their second funds. Something along the line of 40% of them will probably be exiting because they can't raise a second fund. So on that cheery note, uh, nonetheless, we saw 5.3 billion go out to 140 companies, pretty close to what we saw in the month of August. August was a bit of a surprise because there really wasn't the summer downtime we expected. So you can see for the month of September, we're trending pretty close to where we have for the last 2 years. Well, no surprise, artificial intelligence once again walked away with the bulk of the money. We'll talk about some of those rounds. Lots of biotech and that big blue chunk for software. That includes vertical applications that are applying AI to what they're doing. So when we get into AI in particular, we're seeing a lot of uh, applications that were there before that are now powered by AI. We're also seeing new entrants trying to disrupt the existing members. Overall, there are certain sections, well, we'll look at those when we get to AI, that are just being flooded with different iterations for the particular vertical. Okay, so funding by sector, let's take a look. Out of that 5.5 or 5.3 billion, 3 billion plus of it went into mega deals. 100 million or more to an individual company. Now, upper left there, safe superintelligence. This is the biggest deal this month, $1 billion given to this guy. And I say this guy because this is Ilya Sutskever, who left OpenAI in the turmoil around Sam Altman's being fired, being rehired. Ilya's proposition was that OpenAI is not doing the job of safely iterating to come up with what they call AGI, general intelligence that exceeds humans or rivals humans. At any rate, Safe Superintelligence got $1 billion. And it's interesting because their whole mission is they will not deliver a product. They will not sell anything for the first few years. the only thing they're going to focus on is developing super intelligence that is, in their view, safe. Safe being it does not pose a threat to humans. On that note, you can see where the rest of the mega deals went. You may remember World Labs from 3 months ago. This is Fei Li, and she's gotten another round of funding. Another $130 million went into her AI startup. And past that, we had a real good shot of money into green tech. 12, Infinium, and ZeroAvia, all doing that. A little bit into Arsenal Bio. Now that red chunk is pretty big. There was only the one mega deal, but there were a lot of biotech deals, B's and C's, larger round deals that don't hit the 100 million level. And down at the bottom, you will note three of those items there: Observe, WattFix, Glean. These are all companies that are applying AI to what they're doing. All three of them enterprise focused, and all three of them getting upwards of 100 million. So on that note, yeah, more than half of what we saw come in went out in mega deals. Oh, and let's see. I should mention it's in the news right now. I think you've probably all read about the latest OpenAI deal, 6.6 billion at 157 million post-money valuation. Huge dollars, huge round, the largest venture round valuation ever.
Wow. And so that was money into OpenAI. Is that on the chart here?
It is not, because it came in the 1st of October.
Oh, it did. Okay.
So technically it's next month, but by next month it'll be old news. So
right.
We're talking
that's all
about
right.
it right now.
We're kicking off the month. And that's amazing. A guy, $1 billion seed round. Jesus.
It is absolutely amazing. They now are at a run rate of more than $1 billion a year in annual recurring revenue. So you can see sort of how they drive to that, but that valuation is just off the charts. It is likely that that'll be the last thing they do before they IPO, because at that valuation, you really can't go back for much more money at a higher valuation and still expect a good return on it. Factoids on that funding. Everyone who participated in it had to pony up at least 250 million. You weren't allowed in the door unless you did. You had to agree not to invest in 5 other AGI or AI companies. That's Safe Superintelligence, Perplexity AI, Anthropic. The notes have the other 2. At any rate, this was
maybe Grok. What about Grok with a Q?
No, I don't. XAI was on there. Yeah, Grok is XAI. So yes, they were on there too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're basically telling you these are who our competitors are, right? With
pretty clear, huh? If you want in with us, you're not going to give them any money. Period.
Wow. And who led the round? Was it Khosla Ventures or?
It was not. It was Thrive Capital.
Oh, interesting.
Thrive Capital put in 1 billion, and the word is they have an option to put in a second billion before 2025 if they so choose.
Wow.
But you had lots of big names getting in on this. NVIDIA, of course, Microsoft ponied up more. Actually, the only big name that didn't get in on it that I can think of is Apple. They were negotiating to be part of it and pulled out at the last minute.
Wow. And then Raymond asked about SoftBank, Don. Was SoftBank in there?
They ponied up too. They're part of it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a deal that goes down into history. Just
Right.
amazing.
And Raymond, you don't see it here on the chart just because it was done October 1st. We're only talking about September money, so that was a good way to at least. Plus, we got 31 days in October, Don. So I think we'll have a
Yes, we
good
do. I mean, we're already off to a 7
stretch out.
billion month.
Wow.
Amazing. But yeah, I thought if I saved it till next month, it's old news. And at that point, at any rate,
That's
so now
right.
breaking
Got the
news,
number.
yes, $6.6 billion to OpenAI.
Crazy.
Yep, it truly, truly is. Okay, now that we've talked about that, let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Unfortunately, women-led companies. We had, I think, 10 of them. I've got all of them noted on the on one of our graphs as we get on. So again, the deciding factor here is simply there were not a lot of late round fundings to women-led companies. Yeah. Okay, sidebar, women-led companies. In the notes, recap notes I send out, you're going to get a copy of an article from the New York Times talking about how tough it is for women to raise money in later stages. And the fact that women-led funds, who typically fund women in early stages, are much smaller, and they don't have the resources to come into a later stage round that's going to require 70 or 80 million. And that's the truth here. There were 2 late stage fundings. We'll see the detail on the next slide. But that determines what you see there, the 4.8%. Lots of seed and a lot of early stage fundings made up the bulk of the female-led companies this month. So this is 5 of the most interesting of the 10. Again, and you've got food tech with Savor. You've got femtech, which has long been underfunded, and MIDI Health has done a great job. That's a 3 million Series B follow-on, because it was the 63 million round series. The MIDI Health cooperated with one of the funders and put together a 5 million, what they call special purpose vehicle, a side vehicle, and brought in many, many high profile names. We're talking Amy Schumer, name me some high profile Los Angeles women, and they're probably in there. So that's what the 3 million is, but it's out of a $63 million Series B. So that's a good later stage round. And it's femtech, focusing on postmenopause. Searching around Shilpa at Neurobia. One of their main targets is ALS, and ALS is, needless to say, right now incurable. That 68 million was on top of 75 million, if I remember right. She, interesting path to her CEO position, started out as a CSO in this company and was elevated when the company spun out of its incubator.
Strategy or security?
I'm sorry?
Strategy or security? Because I've seen the CSO, and that's
Oh, I'm
right.
sorry. Science.
Oh,
Science.
oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a biotech company. So yeah, chief science officer, which is not usual.
Totally.
Let's see. The other 3 here. Miriam Nafisi at Arcade AI, very interesting. She has taken a combination of a generative AI, I call it an art application because you can use it to create jewelry or anything that you can imagine that can be created out of metal, clay, wood, any artwork. You create it on the Gen AI application. They then match it up with an artisan out of elsewhere in the country to make it for you. And rather high profile, Reid Hoffman got in and led the entire round. And finally, Vanna is our Web3. Web3 applied to AI, if you will. Rather than have companies scan your data in course of learning, well, here, her play is to monetize your data and sell it to the companies to train on. So that's our mix of women-led companies for this month, folks. All right, so AI companies, I'm not going to touch on all of these in detail, just a couple. You'll have all of them in the recap notes. But so trends we're seeing in AI companies, we still have some foundation funding coming through. Obviously, the 6.6 billion for OpenAI is that in spades. But you have like Harmonic Math, which is doing a foundation model, again, AGI, superintelligence, but focused totally around math as being the way that they eliminate hallucinations, the way they guarantee accuracy of what they're doing. And Pin AI trying to take AI to the phone, create an LLM for that. But now we're seeing at a level, obviously there's lots and lots of LLMs out there now. So it comes down to how do you choose the best one? And you get companies like Martian coming up there who will automatically determine which is the best one for you and route you by request. So not for your whole application, but just within the application. The other chunk of AI-related companies we're seeing, again, all around compute and acceleration. Either hardware, which is your Cerebrus, your computer, the attitude there, that's internal technology. Find a bottleneck that's created by AI, eliminate it. Or software. In the case of HPC, they're trying to create a software-based acceleration that will take any deep training model and accelerate it. So just more of this and more coming out all the time. Most of these companies are really early. You can see seed, Series A, Series A. This is just fertile ground for new work being done. And just a touch of other companies. Ag tech, we do not see a lot of ag tech, but we do see a steady stream. Many of these coming out of Davis or out of UC Berkeley. This one is what they call living fertilizer, synthetically created. More femtech with Circle. AI being applied everywhere. Kai Discovery, they've created an LLM for drug discovery, and they're providing it free to any company out there. And the last two here, XAI and land-based. So this is a little area I just want to touch on briefly. It's digital workers and it's AI agents. And it's basically two different words for close to the same thing. They may differentiate later, but right now, similar capabilities. And there are a lot of them. I searched our database. We've got something along the line of 30 some companies doing some kind of agentic AI or digital worker. Some of the most common areas we see it in, you go to market. Other areas of marketing, legal. Lots of this going on in legal. Past that, there's a separate thread. We don't see any here today in robotics. And companies like Future that are applying this to both robotic humanoids as well as the, say, industrial level robotic models. Okay, so just recap. This all comes out of our Pulse of the Valley newsletter. Basically a roundup of business happening in the startup ecosystem, Greater Bay Area each day. When we cover funding, we cover VCs, we cover people moving between companies, C-level execs, senior moves, as well as the investors, where they're becoming partners, where they're moving from VCs to companies. And this is part of our overall platform. One thing I want to point out, David, you have a lot of entrepreneurs and people thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, and we now have a special membership for entrepreneurs, just $6.99 a month, because we want to help them get started, and our resources may move them along in that direction. Our accelerator program, we just welcomed Berkeley Skydeck to it the beginning of October. That makes 1, 2, 3. I think we have 4 accelerators now participating. If you know of any accelerators that could take advantage of our resources or would like to take advantage of our resources to help their companies, just ping Bob or me about it. And for everyone, we offer 2 weeks free at LinkSV.com to give it a try. And the last item I wanted to mention is just our fundraising platform, obviously aimed at our entrepreneurs. How can we help you in this nuclear winter for fundraising? We have a ton of information about investors that we've gathered over the last 20 years, and we can put together all the investors in a group of companies and help you find the ones that are best for what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that does it. David, I will turn it back over to you.
No, thank you, Don. I think for those here, those watching on our YouTube stream, when you're looking for your next opportunity, companies to partner with, right? You start at LinkSV, see where the funding went, and then you can follow. The job recs aren't there yet. They will be soon, but you can get there ahead of it. And Bob, I hope you're doing well. Great to see you.
I'm here.
How far south do you guys go, by the way? You're not coming all the way down to San Luis Obispo, but is it Santa Cruz to
Santa Cruz? Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz. Yep.
Santa Cruz, what, Marin or
No,
Santa
Rosa. Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa to the
Santa
Walnut
Cruz
Creek?
as far east as Sacramento.
I got it. Okay, beautiful. Excellent. Anybody have any questions, comments? Great data this month. I'm glad we started out with 6 billion ahead of the game for next month, right? So
Yeah, really. It'll be old news by the time we start next month.
Raymond, interesting, right? Are there similar resources, Raymond, in Ireland? Because they just track what comes out of the Bay Area for money. But
the most exciting stuff is happening in the Bay Area anyway. So
Right.
this is fascinating. And thank you, Dawn, for all the work you do in putting it all together.
as far as place, because I'm looking too, we're looking for also, because they track all the Silicon Valley money that's going into companies wherever they are. So if there's let's talk about it, because if there's somebody that's tracking the Silicon docs or any of just the investors or where they, because I'd love to pull together a whole global exchange, right? So we can figure out where the money's going.
Yeah, I was in the Silicon Docs last night, but the biggest presence there is the American, you've got Google there and all the other, Indeed, which is Japanese recruitment, but you've got a lot of the multinational subsidiaries are in the Silicon Docs. There isn't so much of the indigenous stuff there.
Right. Indeed's Japanese company?
Yes.
Oh, it is? Okay, yeah, no, I saw one of my old guy placed probably 1991's their VP of engineering now in
Yeah.
San Francisco.
If you remember Recruit, the Japanese company, I think that they own Indeed.
Oh, they bought Indeed. Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay, June.
Hey, David?
Oh, yeah, go for it,
Yeah,
Bob.
yeah, so when you do the breakout rooms, put me in the breakout room with Raymond so I can get acquainted. Maybe some ways we
Oh,
can
you
work
have
together.
Raymond? What? Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Don June has a question and then we'll do breakout rooms.
Okay.
Fast question is, when I look AI, it seems absolutely flooded with companies. I'm wondering if we're expecting a lot of pruning there as because just wow.
As always, yes.
Of course.
We've already seen the first round of pruning from the companies that just took, ChatGPT and did a quick wrap on it. Many of those are already gone.
Yeah, OpenAI allows you to create a custom chat GPT.
Right. And there's very little competitive differentiation there, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the VCs, when they invest now, no longer say, oh, you've got AI, here's a check, which was, early days. Now it's okay, well, what have you got and what makes it unique and how are you going to protect it? Or how is it going to be protected from the next ones down the road?
So June, just a little further on that conversation. A couple of engineers get together, come up with an AI idea. It's a great idea, and they go do it. But unless they have a, pardon me, a great strategy and lots of contacts and ways to get to the next level, they're going to be out there coming out of the gate with lots of other companies doing the same thing. So if you're a small startup company and you don't have the entrees, unfortunately, what you think is really unique is not all that unique. And so it's like any other industry. They'll be competing in the marketplace with bigger, stronger players who are just as good and better with inroads. So it's great you started something, but welcome to the party. You're just table stakes at this point now. You have to figure. I just got off the call, right? And that's why I'm late to this meeting with a guy who's doing something with 3D. It's great that he's got some 3D to bring to the e-commerce sector, but there's a lot of other people developing 3D to bring to the e-commerce sector. So at that point, my question to him was, how are you going to break? What's your clear path to revenue? Who are your partners? Who cares about you? So
Yeah,
this is where it gets
the other thing as well is that like all the hype around AI, it's all the hype around LLMs and ChatGPT lookalikes.
Right.
But so now what a lot of the investors are saying, when somebody comes and says we're AI, is saying, well, are you saying LLM AI or are you talking about neural networks, computer vision, or something else? Because if it's the LLM stuff, we've seen it all.
Yeah.
But it's the other stuff we're still interested.
Yeah, I'll add on to Bob's comment. It's very often entrepreneurs think they have a very unique idea, and experience is it's not the idea, it's the execution. Can you take that and execute? Can you, as Bob says, find the path to revenue, find the strategy that gets you over the hump?
Totally.
yeah, I see a huge amount of competition too for employees. So like you'll go to one of these companies and they're looking for an awful lot of core engineers and there aren't that many around. So that's part of what I think is going to create problems for them.
Okay.
We'll do breakout rooms and we'll be back in 10. Connect with each other and meet some new people.